here are some simple combinations. You can do the steps separately or join them together to make a little combination. Don't forget you can use any of these arms anywhere. These are just suggestions. So try and now begin to use arms with your movements. So the first position is one up and one down, and we're going to make with this hip rolls. Then from here we're going to continue with the hip rolls, but waving the arms as you go. You can make them straight up and down or just free, however you feel you want to make the arms. Now we could put the hands behind our head and make full hip circles. From here, transition your arms and make hip bumps. Remember, if you're changing arms from one position to another, you need to flow them, not just quickly change positions, unless you're doing something like sharp hip bumps, which you want to be staccato. From here, you could go into hip rolls, making prayer hands. So why not try and combine all those movements, one after the other. When you've got to the end, go back to position and begin again with your hip rolls, changes of arms, etc. So now we're going to do what's known as the middle roll, which is where we take the pelvis backwards, drop it down, so you'll need to relax the knees, push your pelvis underneath and forwards, and as you recover, roll it in, back. As you go down, push it underneath you, pushing it to the front. As you come up, bring it to the centre, push back. As you go down, roll it underneath you, to the front. As you recover, pull it into the centre, push back, drop down as you're rolling it underneath you, to the front. As you come up, draw it in, lift your rib cage to make the space. Don't lift your shoulders and hunch. And of course we can reverse this middle roll. We can push the pelvis forward, drop down with your knees as you push your pelvis to the centre and behind you. As you come up, bring it back to the centre and push forward to start again. They are slightly harder to do that direction, so for now we will just do middle roll, taking it backwards first with a nice roll, keeping it quite flowing. So that's your middle roll. Now we're going to do another form of isolation where we use the hip and we're going to push it diagonally forward and pull back to the centre. You can push it diagonally backwards and bring it back to the centre. Then we can use the other hip, push diagonally forwards and back to the centre, push it diagonally back and back to the centre. Of course we can do sides and centre. These aren't quite the same as the hip bumps, this is isolation. Then we can push the hip to the side and centre. Can you see how these are quite sharp movements? We can then push it forwards with just the pelvis, which is like the mid roll that we've just done, and pull it in, and we can push the hips back, again like the mid roll, and pull it in. So you can do any combinations of those that you want to do. So they are isolations. We're not moving anything else apart from the lower body. So keep your rib cage still. Of course we can do isolations. I have covered lots of isolations before, and we've talked before about how you can do isolations with the rib cage. So you're lifting up, not with your shoulders, lifting with your rib cage, dropping it over, say to the side, lift it and replace again. But that was in another video. And arm isolations, shoulder isolations, we've done before. So I'll link that video below so you can check that out if you want to see that. So the last one we're going to do of this section is weaves. Now these can be in waves as well, and it's a combination of your mid rows and your ups and downs, just in and out, and your isolation, so they all come into play, pushing forwards and backwards quite strongly like the isolations. And as you do that, you can do any forms of bending up and down. You can use arms weaving with it, but it's basically forwards and backwards like your isolation or your mid-body roll, forward and backward positions, and going up and down and weaving, so you can do those ones as well. So do play the music back that I've used before and put some of those in, or of course find your own music. The music I've used today is linked in the description below.